Expo, the second largest indoor ag show in the U.S. December 5th, 6th, and 7th. Check out all the latest technology in row crop and livestock production, robotics, and more at the expanded Innovation Hub. Mark your calendar. That's December 5th, 6th, and 7th. Register online at NebraskaAgExpo.com to get your tickets in advance and save $5. See you in Lincoln. The Nebraska Ag Expo is sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer.
Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
But it gave my mom and me more time to plan together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions. Welcome into Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now here are your hosts, Jeff and Nicole Essink.
All right, welcome in to the Fitness Fanatics. It is December 3rd, and we are winding down 2023. Before we get into that, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors, ILC. We are sponsored by Integrative Life Choices. ILC is hiring direct support professionals all over the state of Nebraska, full-time, part-time days, evenings, and weekends. If you're interested, you can apply at ilc.net/careers. Direct support professionals work to ensure a meaningful life for the people they support. They work to support people in achieving their hopes and dreams. So big shout out to them. Appreciate their support on the Fitness Fanatics. Nicole and I are flying, and Harrison, we're just the three of us today.
We already have someone messaging in.
Oh, wait, on the Facebook page?
Yeah, Bubba did. He's doing another 5K today. John, Bubba, who was on.
Okay, so he's listening to our show while he's running.
Apparently, he did one yesterday too, but
I'm at the start of the line for another 5K.
All right, awesome. Out there making it happen. Making it happen.
Yeah.
And I would recommend texting it through Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Allo, well, you can't text in, but you can watch on Allo channel 951. Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. It's been a little squirrely this morning, so no promises. We get it right away, but I definitely recommend commenting on those streams.
Yes, we will get those. A little dicey if the text line's working this morning. So we had a weekend.
But first of all, before we talk about that, after we get done talking about football.
Well, sports in general.
This
first segment, yes.
So it's just the three of us. So if you guys have any, we definitely want listener participation if possible. So if you guys have any questions about anything health, fitness, wellness related, I already have some questions teed up from super fan Megan that she wants to have us talk about. But
or
definitely want to hear from
super villain for Harrison.
Is that who it is?
Megan, yeah.
She scares me.
So so if you
I
have
asked
any...
her and she sent me like 5 paragraphs of things we could talk about.
Good,
but
good.
if we have other things too, we can talk about those things.
Yeah, well, we're in December. I want everybody to think back to last December when we all make New Year's resolutions, right? We're going to do this, or I'm going to work out. I'm going to start this program. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to write a journal, read. I'm going to do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us are done with that stuff by like January 15th, right?
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Yeah. So here we are again, month of December. We have 28 days left in 2023. So any of those goals that you wrote down or you thought about back in December of 2022, you're running out of time. We're down to 28 days left before 2024.
Or you can just float it to the next
Yeah, you can
year.
just float it.
Is that what they say on
That's what they
the
say.
middle?
The middle is one of our favorite shows. So if there anybody that's ever
You
seen,
ever watch that?
Is that just the remake of Malcolm in the Middle?
No,
Oh,
it's
gosh.
about a family. You should have. I mean, you were probably busy.
But isn't the
School and
middle
stuff.
the same thing as what Malcolm in the Middle used to be?
Kind of. I mean, it's a family. It's about a family.
About a family, and they got like a bunch of boys, the youngest,
Two boys and a girl.
and
So-
one's really smart, and
Yeah.
the other one's not so smart.
Yeah.
Sounds
but
like Malcolm in the Middle.
I mean, that's every.
I've never
sitcom.
seen
We've
a
never
episode
seen
of Malcolm in the Middle.
You guys have never seen Malcolm in the Middle.
No.
And you're
I
gonna
know
tell me
it,
that it's
because isn't
okay.
Bryan Cranston in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malcolm
So-
in the Middle is the best show ever. The
We've
middle,
never-
What?
The Middle is just it's a okay remake, but
No.
Text. Oh man, I really wish Text on
An
so man.
okay remake.
Malcolm in the Middle is one of the best shows of all time.
When was
And
Malcolm in the Middle? When did it come out?
before Cranston was ever super
You
popular?
know what
That
Bryan
was his
Cranston is.
Breaking Bad main
Walter
character,
White.
the dad.
Walter.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's
So
the
he's
dad.
the dad, and he's perfect.
Well, maybe we
in
need
that
to
show.
watch it.
Well,
It is
we
so
will.
funny.
But the thing is, Harrison, you don't really.
Disappointed.
No, I know. We'll watch it.
Disappointed.
Yeah, I thought for sure.
You will not appreciate fully the middle until you're a parent. It's the
The children.
yeah. So I wonder if Malcolm in the Middle was more geared towards like you related to them because of the kid dynamic. But the middle,
You guys just have to watch it. It's
Okay.
it's kind of a crazy show.
Okay.
it came out in 2000. When did the middle come out? I brought my laptop so I
Yeah,
could
the
do
middle
some
was
research.
Definitely, and like the family,
2009.
yeah, the family dynamic's pretty
I mean,
pretty similar.
The middle is more geared towards the parents with
Two
three
poor
kids.
families
Yeah.
scrounging to get by. They got all these kids. It's pretty similar.
probably.
It's
Well-
literally called the middle.
Malcolm.
Yeah.
Well, I said we've never seen
That's
it.
I think the
episode.
middle is just because that's where they were. Like they lived in the middle of the United States. They were in the middle of
Lived in Indiana.
right. They were in the middle of like
Middle income.
yeah, middle
Below
income.
income.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
anyway,
homework for you guys.
when
You
she
can-
said-
you can
We will.
assess
We
after.
will
Your
because
kids
you
will
know
love it
what?
too. It's a great
Football's
show.
almost over. So what
Yeah.
are we gonna do
We
now?
gotta start coming up with shows to watch. So
We gotta watch the Harry Potter movie.
yeah, we got some stuff that's
We're already off the rails. So sorry. We were talking about floating.
Floating because on the middle they always float stuff like, oh, we're just gonna
They'll
float it.
forget a birthday and they'll just float it.
Float
to
it
the
to next year, our anniversary. So that's
Yeah.
where we'll float our 2023 goals to 2024. I mean, it's December 3rd. What can you really get accomplished in 28 days? I mean,
Well, but you
Right.
can start establishing habits that will help you.
Yes,
Or
that's
you don't
true.
have to wait till January.
okay, yeah. So that's something we'll get into. So this was our first weekend without Nebraska football. It was just nice and relaxing, no stress. I didn't have to schlep up to the stadium and be cold and walk home, be depressed. So it was actually kind of nice. And this is when we could be hopeful again for the next 8 months, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which I've been saying.
I'm not there yet. But
Here
yeah.
we go.
Yeah, we
But
can.
this is the time that hope springs eternal. And now we don't have to be stressed for 8 months, 9 months till next
Yeah.
August.
No stress. I'll remind you of that.
And my motto has always been like, usually during the seasons, it's depressing, right?
It's all
November in particular.
Right. So why do I want to be depressed about Nebraska football all year round when I can choose to be hopeful and optimistic?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, that's because that's what it is. So the start to the 2024 off-season national championship starts today, right? So the start for the title starts. We've won it 20 straight years. We're going for year 21, and we will not be denied. But we did watch some football yesterday. So we watched Iowa, Michigan. We watched Bama, Georgia. And it was funny. I forgot what it was like to watch two real football teams play each other.
But they still made mistakes too, which was nice to see.
Yeah, but it was more like you could just see when you're watching Georgia, Bama, like how many great players and talent and skill on offense and defense. And it wasn't, we've been wrapped up in the Big Ten world of just watching mediocre, especially the Big Ten West.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
which we're watching. We're watching
Oh my gosh.
mediocre offenses, which makes the defenses look really good. Now I will give Iowa a little credit. Their defense was outstanding yesterday.
Yeah, they gave up 26, but I mean, that's pretty. You're going to take that considering your offensive drives are punt, 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 punt.
Turnover.
And on the one punt, you give up a huge punt return, and you only manage to give up. Did they give up a field goal on that huge punt return, or did Michigan
it was a
get
touchdown.
in the end zone?
So Michigan had a couple touchdown drives of 5 yards and 7 yards. And you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
How many touchdown drives has Iowa had of 10 yards or less because of a turnover? So I don't want to hear about the refs. Nebraska's been getting screwed by the refs going all the way back to 1982 against Penn State. So I don't want to hear anything about the refs and egregious call. And it's just boo-hoo.
I'll say this much about the refs in the Big Ten in particular. They've been screwing everyone over.
Yeah,
not just Nebraska.
Everybody
they get it wrong all the time.
I mean, how many replays were in the Nebraska-Iowa game that went Nebraska's way? You know how many? None.
Mm-hmm.
0. All the replays went Iowa's way in that game. So, yes, there was a play yesterday where they called a fumble, and it probably wasn't a fumble, but I'm not shedding any tears about it.
Here's the thing. The reality is, first of all, I would like to give up the space, the real estate that Iowa has been occupying in our brains.
Okay.
You just opened that right over a microphone.
Well, yes.
Oh, no, it's not on. It sounded loud.
We're good.
Anyway, but I would hope that as at the dawning of a new day, the Iowa fans can recognize that they only played one other ranked team to get their
and got shut out.
Right, to get their 11-2 record. So maybe their record was a little fraudulent.
Mm-hmm.
I think they knew that every single time Deacon Hill dropped back.
Right. I know. Like, let's just a little perspective. What happened yesterday was what was supposed to happen, regardless of calls or anything.
They played, their defense was outstanding. I
good.
was very surprised at how good their defense was. And I don't know if maybe Michigan wasn't, I mean, they probably knew they could just kind of go out there and we'll just piddle around. And once they got a field goal, it was over.
Yeah.
Once it was 3-0, that was the ball game.
Yeah. Once it almost, and then 2 score.
Yeah.
Then for sure.
It was 10-0. It was really over.
I was planning on going to bed. I actually stayed up for almost the whole thing.
Well, we were up till the end.
I pushed it. I was up last night watching Idaho and Southern Illinois in the FCS.
That's kind of interesting. Good
game. What's overtime?
You watched a little bit of. You were probably flipping back between Florida State, Louisville, right? Watching, getting some controversy there. So I had a couple references that I brought this morning, like some. I don't know if it's precedent, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this already this morning on the other shows about who should make the college football playoff, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Okay, so we're the debate. First of all, I would say and this pains me to say this because as a Nebraska fan, I hate all these teams. Okay. I hate Texas. I hate Alabama. I hate Michigan. I hate Florida State. I hate all of them.
Do you have any locks out of the hated? Is there any for sure that we can just write up right now? They're locks, so we don't have to give.
Well, Michigan and Washington are in.
Locks. Yes.
Oh, well, absolutely.
Okay.
So
you got 2.
Yes. Well,
hated teams are going to get in.
Yes, the hated just because
you hate them because they're good. That's the reality of it.
And if Texas doesn't make it in, I'm not going to shed any tears about them. But
I think they deserve it.
I would say if for any reason Texas does not make it, but Bama does. My beef with that is why would you schedule going forward any tough out of conference team ever? Because Texas could have played Chattanooga, who Bama played, and they would have won the game. They'd be 13 and they wouldn't be 13-0, but
isn't that scheduled ahead of time?
Yeah, it's scheduled ahead of time.
When did they schedule the
Alabama
and
years
Texas?
ago they scheduled the home and home
that's
series.
Hard. Yeah.
But if you don't, I mean, if there's only a way to separate 2 teams with identical records that won their conference, like maybe if they played a game head to head,
and the other team beat that team, that would decide who goes
on their home field by double digits.
It's almost like that's a thing somewhere else.
When they go to determine the tiebreaker in the NFL, and they're like, okay, so the Chiefs beat The Chiefs beat the Dolphins head to head. The Chiefs beat the Jaguars head to head. That's why they're ahead of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
The NFL doesn't go back and say, well, the Chiefs beat the Dolphins in Germany. That really doesn't count.
Yeah.
Right? They don't just throw it by the wayside. Or if a team in week 1 beat a team, they don't be like, well, it was week 1. It doesn't really count. So we're going to go ahead and put the Dolphins ahead of the Chiefs, even though they lost head to head, right?
That's what's crazy because because the committee does do that. Unfortunately, like, well, that was earlier. Like they've shown before, like, oh, that was earlier in the year. They do make that a different game for some reason. So they might.
Well, there's
Texas because it was earlier in the year.
There is some precedent now, not by the committee, but 2 examples. One was before you were born. It was 1993. Notre Dame beat Florida State head to head. The very next week, Notre Dame lost to Boston College on a last-second field goal as time expired.
Which then set up that they both had the same record.
Notre Dame and Florida State had the exact same record. Florida State finished ahead of Notre Dame and played Nebraska for the national championship in 1993. Even though Notre Dame beat them head to head. And this wasn't the committee. These were the Einstein AP voters. Oh, we're going to put Florida State over Notre Dame.
Did they just want to watch Nebraska, Florida State?
Well, in fact, Florida State, I believe, was ranked number 1 over an undefeated Nebraska team for a time being until everything was finished. I believe Nebraska finished number 1 going into the game, and they were still 17-point underdogs to the number 2 team in the nation in 1993. So, yeah, Florida State made it in over Notre Dame. There's another scenario, this is identical to Georgia, Bama, Texas. Okay. In 2000, Florida State lost to Miami. Florida State finished 11-1. Miami lost to Washington. Miami finished 11-1. Washington lost at Oregon. Washington finished 11-1. Same scenario. Florida State lost to Miami. Miami lost to Washington. Oklahoma ran the table. They played in the Orange Bowl. So logically, what would be the one team you would think should not play Oklahoma in that scenario?
Give me those teams again one more time.
Florida State lost to Miami.
Yep.
Miami lost to Washington. They all finished with the identical records of 11-1.
Which team's getting kicked out? Or who do you
there was
think
only one team that played Oklahoma, because back then it was only 2 teams that played for the championship.
Right.
So Florida State played for the championship, even though they lost to Miami,
right?
Who lost to Washington, and they all finished with identical records.
That's a mess,
right? But the voters, we'll put Florida State in there.
Was that still AP?
Yeah.
When did the committee come into play? When it was the playoff?
It's not too old.
2012, 13, 14, 2014, I think.
When they got away from it.
Somewhere in there.
One committee of former players, coaches, and I'm not sure. It's former players, coaches, and who else is it that makes those decisions?
Yeah, I think player and like writers, maybe.
Writers.
I don't really know who's on there. You could go look to see who is on the committee.
Yeah.
But for people that say that Georgia should be in, I mean, they lost to Bama.
No,
it's not like a crazy. I mean, it's like you win 29 games straight. You're back-to-back defending champions. You lose 1 game to Alabama. You're out.
Yeah.
They lost.
Texas lost to a more inferior opponent, and they're in.
Well, Texas lost to Oklahoma by 4, right?
How did Oklahoma finish?
Like 2 or 3 losses.
Yeah, they're fine. Okay. So there's only lost by 4.
Yeah, but
a good team.
Yes,
in Oklahoma.
Yeah, so if you can't
beat Alabama, who beat Georgia,
right? If your reasoning to put Bama in over Georgia is a head-to-head win, right? How can you not put Texas in, who beat Bama head-to-head?
Okay, give me Michigan at 1, Washington at 2.
That's done.
That's settled. It's terrible, but Florida State did everything they needed to. But if I want the best 4 teams, Florida State does not belong. Out of all those teams yesterday, Florida State looked like the one team that was not elite at that level. So I'm probably kicking them out, which is horrible because they're undefeated.
You just throw them out 13-0.
13-0.
Get out.
You couldn't have done anything more.
Nope. You just win all your games. And that's,
you can't say that. And then you have to want to try to shed a tear for Georgia.
Yeah, right. I mean,
but do you
2 years?
Do you honestly think that if Florida State, that'd be the worst team? If we're respecting everything they need to do, and of all the 4 teams that get in, you're looking at Florida State as the worst team in that group.
I mean,
they'll have their second string QB back.
Yeah. Well, there was some little precedent of, I believe Ohio State won the title with their third string quarterback a few years ago.
It's funny that Ohio State has one loss and like they're not even
Nobody's
in the
even
discussion.
talking to
Yeah.
them.
Why
They shouldn't be.
What gives Georgia a bet? Georgia's non-conference schedule was a joke. Their whole schedule was a joke, really.
And wasn't Ohio State's loss to Michigan?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So why shouldn't Ohio State be in over Georgia, right?
Because Georgia went 2 years.
This is what's fun about college football is the debate.
Yeah. I need to see like what do you factor in? Are you ignoring years previous?
I don't think it's an algorithm. Like I don't think it's a plug it into a spreadsheet.
No.
Get an
I would
answer.
want to say like you ignore years previous. And
Well,
it's only
you
about
have to.
this year.
I think you have to.
But the way they consistently find ways to get Bama, and it's like, well,
and here's what
really seem like that.
Here's what's interesting is if our son and I were talking about this last night. If this was Texas Tech, 12-1, nobody would care.
Nope.
No.
Bama's in. Who cares if
Right.
Texas Tech beat them? Nobody would care if Texas Tech
Well,
beat
because
Bama.
if they had lost
If it was
earlier,
if it was Baylor, if it was Kansas State,
yeah,
they wouldn't even get a sniff of this.
No.
It's
But
because
part
of
of this is because Georgia's number one.
it's the
too.
big brands.
It's like you got to kick Georgia from 1 to 5.
Hey,
but what was
win the
Texas
game.
Tech 5?
Alabama was 8. Georgia was 1 when they played.
Mhm.
Which, and honestly, people always freak out too much. Like we see them move 4 spots in a week anyway, so it wouldn't be that crazy. That's what you're not going to look into Alabama being 8 is the reason why they wouldn't get in. But yeah, this is really tough.
It'll be
I think I honestly, I don't want to see Florida State in
and
there.
keep in
It seems
mind,
terrible, but I'd kick them out.
ESPN makes their money on the SEC.
Yes, it does. And there's a potential. There is a realistic chance there's no SEC team. Period. They won't do it.
No, they
but
won't.
In reality, you could make an argument, and it could roll out that way.
But wouldn't it be wonderful?
I would love it if I didn't see Georgia or Bama.
Wouldn't it be great? The meltdown. I mean, they'd probably they would the commissioner Greg Sankey, I think his name is. He'd be filing a petition to succeed from the NCAA. We're done. We're starting our own league. Forget it. This is ridiculous. And I think Florida State, if they get left out, they're filing to get out of the ACC immediately.
Yeah.
You also have to consider, though, that the entire landscape will be changed after this season,
I know,
too.
that's
So
why,
will
yeah.
it really matter that much if they don't have an SEC team in there? Because next year,
Oh, it matters.
I think it's a tough way to go out.
It matters
right?
more.
Well, yeah, it is, but I don't think that there's going to be any succeeding.
Which the
seeding.
12-team playoff next season. I mean, I'd like it, but I mean, for Nebraska to make it in, we need like a 64-team tournament, I think. But what I don't like it as much is it's like college football has always been so great because for the most part, every game is like a playoff.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a 12-team playoff, we wouldn't be watching the SEC championship game as closely as we were. Like, I mean, it was awesome drama, awesome entertainment, because it meant so much that both of those teams were going to be in the playoffs regardless, you know? And I think over time, because the NFL is the same way, I think over time we'll get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because always in the past, I'm like, well, it's not fair to, like, it wouldn't be fair if Oregon would have beat Washington. And so then Washington beat them head to head, and Oregon beat them head to head, and Oregon gets in over Washington. Like, we have those conversations, but in the NFL, nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's like,
it is kind of funny
because the rules are laid out specifically. Like, they have tiebreakers going down like 20 deep tiebreakers.
Yeah, there's no committee at the end.
There's no committee
to decide who gets in and out.
Yes, it's not a popularity contest.
You control your destiny is the difference, because you might disagree with the rules, but they're out there, like you said, and you can at least have direct route and predicate if you're going to be here or not based on other teams.
Yeah, I think head to head matters more than anything. And I know, like, back in 2001, Colorado just blasted Nebraska, you know, but Colorado had 2 losses. Nebraska had 1. It wasn't equal footing. So that's kind of, and there was a year that Ohio State made it in, and Penn State was the Big Ten champions.
Mm-hmm.
And Ohio State made the playoff. Ohio State lost the head to Penn State, but Penn State had 2 losses. Ohio State had 1 loss, and that's why they got in over Penn State. So there's a kind of some quirky things going on, but
the best part is we have no stakes in this, so we can just sit back and enjoy the show.
And I want to know who's watching a 4-hour college football playoff announcement show on
you
ESPN.
Admitted that you would if Nebraska was playing. You said you'd watch all of it. So the fans of the teams that are in it, that's who's
still,
watching
like,
it.
4 hours. I'm like, oh, I was going to record it because it starts at 11. But who knows when they're going to be actually announcing the team. So I was going to record. And I was like, this is 4 hours. I mean, who's sitting here watching
Back in the day,
Is
but
it like
not
1
now.
hour for every team, and they have like a full hour breakdown of that team?
They'll probably announce it before. They'd have to announce it before the NFL game starts. So I'd probably announce that the bracket would be announced. But then it's like,
is it 11 a.m.?
11 a.m. Yeah, is when it starts on ESPN.
12 Eastern.
Yeah, no, I was telling Ben, I was like, if the Ravens were in the Super Bowl, and we were probably the same way. If the Bears were in the Super Bowl, like, because I'm always like, who watches?
You're watching everything.
Super Bowl coverage from 6 a.m. till the time the game starts at 5. And I'm like, well, if the Bears were in there, I'd watch all 11 hours.
Obviously,
yeah,
I'm not moving. Show's canceled. We're watching everything.
Where if like you're a certain fan of that team, you know, for a while there when the Bulls were rolling and like Lonzo Ball was healthy, they were dominating the East, and it was such a new ground. I haven't been there in a while, but when you're part of that fan base, like, yeah, you're getting up at 6 because you know the media coverage is going to be about how awesome your team is. So like you definitely make those sacrifices. So yeah, if Nebraska was in the playoff picture, yeah, I'm getting up as early as possible because I know all day they're just going to talk about how awesome Nebraska is. And yeah, here's a couple weaknesses, but for the most part, here's their journey. Here's them at the college football playoff picture because of how great they are.
And that'd be magical.
Oh, and you would eat it up and you'd retweet it. You go on your phone in between commercials, read some more awesome stuff about Nebraska, go back to like that is the sports fan dream.
When media just haven't had that experience in a while.
Well, I am going to, there is a basketball game today.
Well, we should probably go to break.
Let's take a break. We'll take a break.
What time it is.
And we'll get back to this when we get back. So again, if you have any questions for us, you can Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, message us on the stream. Not sure if texting is working today, but
I think it's down. So definitely try to, if you want to chime in, do it through the streams, be the best bet.
Yep. All right. We'll be right back on Fitness Fanatics 93.7 The Ticket.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealer, invites you to attend our upcoming Parts and Service Expo events. It's the best time to buy parts all year. Take advantage of specials December 6th through the 15th with additional savings the day of your local expo. Find savings on oil and filters, gifts for under the tree, and most pre-ordered John Deere parts. Visit with our trained and certified technicians and sign up for our service specials. Don't miss out. It only comes around once a year at your local Landmark Implement. Visit landmarkimp.com/events for a complete schedule of our expo events and experience the Landmark difference.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Career can be difficult and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome into Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now here are your hosts, Jeff and Nicole Essig.
All right, welcome back in to the Fitness Fanatics. We have a couple more sports topics to get to. Shout out to the volleyball team. I know Coach Cook's probably listening right now to the show, so we want to give him a big shout out. They swept both of their opponents on Friday and Saturday. We didn't have ESPN Plus, so I was actually following Rico's tweets to get the updates in real time. So I was just kind of refreshing. And so he was doing updates it was awesome. So I'd just be like, oh, won the first set, oh, won the second. And
I was just following Nebraska volleyball on Facebook.
Oh, see, I was supporting the ticket.
Yeah. I'm not an X. I do X. That's not true. I just tried to retweet our show and I thought I did it wrong. So that's why I don't do Twitter.
So yeah, big shout out to them. They play on Thursday at 1 p.m. against Georgia Tech, I believe. Is that correct, Harrison? Georgia Tech's who we play Thursday at 1.
Yeah, because they beat Missouri. I think it is Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
I'm going to say for sure.
Because there was an upset. Georgia Tech beat the 4 seed Florida. So that was kind of nice.
Nice. Very nice.
Yes. And then if Nebraska wins Thursday, they will play on Saturday at 5 p.m. is the tip or whatever you call the opening start to a volleyball match.
Did we have to talk about this already?
No, I think we've talked about soccer.
okay.
Opening serve. I don't know what
Opening
else you
serve.
call it.
Yeah, whatever. So 5 p.m. We are going. Well, I am going to the basketball game today against Creighton.
When'd you get your tickets? Because that sold out pretty
Got
quick.
Got a
Got
connection.
it from one of our member, Ron.
Nice.
Ron Herman, that goes to Yankee Ridge.
Yep.
His son is they're doing like a wedding today.
Bridal
Wedding.
shower.
No, wedding.
It's the actual wedding. Oh, okay.
Yeah, wedding reception. So he wasn't able to go. So I will be sitting in his seats. So yeah, I got those. I got them right now on my phone, ready to roll.
I'm pretty jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty envious. That
Ready
is
to
the
wear
one-
my red.
one game
and
I'm
the
Red out. You better make sure you wear that red.
Hopefully it's a no sit. Opening serve. So our text line is working.
I was correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Pete just opening serve. Oh yeah,
Okay.
good job, Harrison.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then
Okay.
we do have John real quick here. Just want to shout him out. 26 minutes, 42 seconds. Got first in my age division.
Ooh, that was better
Shout
than
out, John.
yesterday's 5K.
You know, I think John was running fast because he was probably listening to us just rip on Iowa. So it
That would
made
do it.
him run faster. 'Cause
We didn't talk about Iowa for that long.
He's a big Iowa fan. So huge Iowa fan.
Yeah.
Even though all I get on the text from John is roll tide all the time. So I mean, he's a big Bama fan.
I
as
think
well.
if you're a Iowa fan, you divert your eyes at this point in the season.
Yeah.
He's always been like that.
Yeah.
I get so many roll tide, it just makes me sick.
Oh, this is unique. Iowa Roll Tide fan.
I guess.
I don't know.
You know, sometimes you just, I don't know. Yeah, it's just how it is.
That's a unique one.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I'm glad we could help spur him to. What did he say? Did he win his age group?
Yeah, first
That's
in his
awesome.
age division.
Was
Very
there
cool.
one person running in the age
That's
group?
if
or is
you
it-
would win.
Yeah, that would be if I
I
if
don't
I
know
were to
if you
win.
could do a 26
He does
minute
say-
5K right now.
I heard everything you said about Iowa and couldn't defend them, even
Yep.
though they don't deserve it, and you guys were right about that.
Yes.
Yeah,
As always,
as soon as
is our
Michigan
most
scored,
logical Iowa fan.
yeah. As soon as they scored and it was 3-0, I was like, they've already scored enough to win. It's over. So our text line is working, 402-464-5685. You have any questions for us? Fitness, health, nutrition. You can let us know some of your goals for 2024.
Yeah.
If you've accomplished your goals for 2023.
Or how we can help you in any way.
Yes.
With
Yes.
a goal.
Yes. Any accomplishments that you have for 2023, health and fitness related, milestones, weight loss, something you've done your first 5K, half marathon, any accomplishments that you want to text in or message us on social media. Again, the Starter Heyman text line here is 402-464-5685. Again, we are going to the game. We went to one basketball game.
Jeff and Ben.
Yeah, just Ben and I. We went, and it's one of the worst NFL Sundays. Like, if you look at the schedule, it's so dreadful.
It's pretty bad.
It's so bad. Denver and Houston's interesting. I don't really have a dog in that fight.
That game isn't as big as people think it is. Everyone's like, oh my God, Broncos and Texans, who's going to get, and it's like, there's still 5 games after this one, and it's not going to be decided by today. This game's important. It's interesting, but it's not. I think too many people are looking at this Texans Broncos game like it's going to decide who gets that wild card spot. And there's a lot of football left after this game. It's not going to decide.
Well, that just kind of shows how bad the lineup is. The best game of the day is the Eagles and Niners.
Yep.
Starts at 3.
What'd you say the second one is?
Well, probably that one.
Probably Texans too.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Broncos, it's not great.
The Bears are off. The Ravens are off. So it was a great day for us to go to a basketball game. Starts at 3. We did go to a game last year, so I'm going to admit something on the air.
I'm pretty sure we talked about this.
Went to nobody remembers. That was a year ago. So we did go to.
I'm just saying it's
the
not some big confession. I think
game
we
last year. We went to the Wisconsin basketball game. First basketball game I've ever gone to, Nebraska basketball game. And we left in the second half and we were down 17. Now I'm out. We're done.
Which basketball's pretty fast paced. I feel like a 17-point deficit isn't that insurmountable. Clearly.
I'm just like, man, it was so, but we were playing so bad. And then Nebraska came back and won in overtime. So I like to think we spurred the comeback.
Jeff's leaving, guys.
Yeah.
You got to pick it up.
I think
well,
so.
The problem is this game too, and that game were gifted. The tickets were gifted by a member who has neighbors.
So I got ratted out.
That ratted them out basically and told, because that was Rod's tickets, right?
Yeah.
And Rod's little neighbor basketball neighbor ratted Jeff and Ben out and said they left early.
All those people you brought
gave those tickets to.
They left like 15 minutes left in the game. So I heard about it.
Good on them. They should have ratted you out for that.
So this game, I'm actually
and Ron is one that does not leave either. He doesn't leave Husker football games early, so he doesn't leave Husker basketball games early.
He's left one time. He said he's very upset about it. Football, yeah.
Or
no, he gave his tickets like his kids, and they left early.
His daughter really and her boyfriend, and the boyfriend wanted to leave early, and then they weren't together.
He's really upset about it. Yeah. So I'm actually I'm writing
because it was Nebraska, Texas, I think.
Oh man, what a horrible!
So
first
Ron
impression
gave
of the
up,
boyfriend.
He gave up his tickets, and then they went and they left early. Yeah. So I'm going to be sitting in Ron's seats, which are like in section 119. They're going for like 250
They're very good
bucks.
seats.
Oh yeah,
250
They're
bucks.
expensive. That place sold, like I said, it sold out quick.
I don't think I haven't thought about selling those.
Yeah, right. No, you haven't.
And then if I were to sell those tickets,
you truly get in trouble.
And there were a couple of Creighton fans that went and sat down. I'd be in so much trouble.
Yeah,
I'd like kick you out of the studio.
My dad's
Harrison would be like, "Excuse me."
Ron would be so upset.
I mean, that's the equivalent of like your Memorial Stadium giving your tickets to a couple of Longhorns fans, Iowa fans. Like that'd be.
That's why I've never
absolutely not.
That's why I never really sold my football tickets if I don't go. I just don't want them
unless we give it to someone we know.
I'm not going to sell them to opposing fan base.
Random.
No, I'll give them away. But obviously, looking at the apparel.
Yeah.
Like if I see Husker apparel, I'm like, okay, unless you're pulling a rope-a-dope on me, you look good to go.
Yeah. So this game, I'm actually riding with Rod. Okay. I'm going to his house. So this way I cannot leave early. I am there because he's my ride. So I set this up where we're not leaving early. We're there. It doesn't matter if we're down by 30, which hopefully we won't be.
I don't think we will.
Yeah, so we're going to be there at 3:00. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
What's your knowledge of? I know basketball's not your favorite sport to watch. Nebraska basketball and Creighton basketball.
Well, I follow it. Like I know what's going on, but
I know you're not able to, especially with your schedule, you're not able to stay up and watch every single game.
No, not when it starts very late. But I mean, I do know that this is Nebraska's best start since 1991, and if they win and to go 8-0, it'll be their best start since 1977. Is what I read. So we have not been 8-0 since 1977. And for me, growing up in Iowa, yes, I've been a huge Nebraska football fan my entire life, but Nebraska basketball is never on. Like I knew some of the players and I would follow it. Like I remember when they made the tournament when they had like Rich King and Clifford Scales, and that was like in the early 90s. But then they lost in the first round, obviously, because they've never won a first round game. But in my house, it was more like you're watching Iowa State basketball. Like that was what was on. It's like I remember watching Fred Hoiberg at a high school state tournament.
Okay, that's cool.
When I was younger, I went with one of my sister's friends or something, and so I remember watching him play.
I grew up watching a lot of Iowa basketball, more than probably football.
Yeah, so I wasn't really big into Nebraska basketball. Well, one, because they never really made a run in that. Well, they never won a tournament game, so it was like you just didn't really ever. It wasn't ever on TV.
No, well, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't be a Nebraska basketball fan if I didn't live in Nebraska. There's just not a lot of history.
It's very different when you live in Lincoln, especially.
Yeah,
because you're just immersed in it. Like I know I could list 10 players on the Nebraska basketball team, but I couldn't name probably 10 college basketball players across the country.
Yeah,
like right now. Like so, I don't sit down and watch
the
way you do.
I don't know if I've sat down and watched a college basketball game. I don't think I watched one all year last year outside of Nebraska. That's it. So I spend so much of my mental goes towards football. Memory. Right. And so it's just like we watch so much football during the season. So it's part of it's to give her kind of a break.
Oh, sure.
Right. Well, it is.
Okay. I want to talk about one more sports thing before we go to break, because you tried to gloss over the fact that the Packers do play today. They play the Chiefs.
Who cares?
I know. I'm kind of salty about it because Mahomes never had to play Rodgers. That kind of annoys me. But have we talked about how the first season stats of Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love are almost identical? Have we talked about that?
We haven't talked about it because we don't care.
Yeah, you should care.
Right, Harrison?
As much as you guys both Bears fans wanted to think that Jordan Love was going to come in and he was going to but they're record's the same. Their pass attempts are about the same, or their yards are about the same. The touchdowns are almost the exact same.
Well, isn't
for their
that
first
just
season.
wonderful? And I'll tell you right now.
I just wanted to point that
I'm
out.
so bitter. I can't
The
even
Bears-
come up
I know,
with something witty to
That's
say.
why I wanted to
Bears
point
are-
it out.
The Bears could make a playoff push.
Totally.
We're
I'm
not
a
talking about the
draft
Bears. We're talking about the Packers. I pulled this up because Ben told me the stat, but then I looked at this. I looked this up, and it said that the comparisons were really drawn during the Lions game on Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
because Jordan Love threw for 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions to win, and Rodgers defeated the Lions with 348 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions
And what-
in their first seasons.
What stat did our 17-year-old son throw out about how the Detroit Lions are 0-25 on Thanksgiving?
On a waxing gibbous moon, waxing, waning. It depends on the moon. So they're. Did you know this, Harrison?
0-25.
No, I didn't look that far. As to what,
It's a
what-
whole thing
where
that
the moon's at. What
the
phase.
line. No, it's like an insane statistic
It's pretty weird. Yeah, they're 0-25 when the moon is in a certain
against
state
the moon.
on Thanksgiving.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
just say this much: you can find a crazy stat where this team is 0 and whatever.
I know you
But it
can't,
has to be
but
that
that's pretty
particular
crazy.
moon phase.
That
It has
moon
to-
phase.
It's like
So
is
that
funny.
must have been the moon phase whenever Aaron Rodgers played.
We did.
too.
We did get a text from Troy and
was
Lincoln says,
funny.
"I hate Iowa even more." And they made me a Michigan fan for the day. You
Yeah.
guys are awesome.
I agree.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I had a different take on this. Watching that game.
No.
Don't tell me you're cheering for Iowa.
No.
Okay, good.
I'm cheering for what may be the Bears' next head
Oh,
coach.
me too.
that's
Oh,
right.
absolutely.
Oh, Jeff too.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to get all the
First
nastiness
shot
out.
of Harbaugh. Jeff's like, "There's our next coach."
Absolutely. And if Michigan wins the national championship, let's come to Chicago.
Grab your guy, Marvin Harrison. and-
But if they make a playoff push, the Bears, our coach isn't going anywhere.
All right, we were talking about
Which
the
is fine.
Packers. Now it's time to go to break.
It's not fine. Do not make a playoff push with this. Don't. I don't want to see it with this because they're gonna be complacent. They're gonna think, oh, here we go. The pieces are coming together, and we're just gonna open up next season. Just awful.
Kind of like in 2020 when they made a run and they made the playoffs.
Like just sucks.
Kinda
So everyone can agree that we need to.
I want
switch
Is
over.
my mic on?
No, it's not. He's muting. Nicole's muted. I want Harbaugh. I want Marvin Harrison Jr. and I want Brock Bowers. Let's get them all in Chicago and let's roll.
That'd be fun.
Because I'd like to see Justin Fields with Harbaugh.
Yeah, I think just a
Because the
different
other
coach.
guys, you don't really know. You don't know if they're going to be good or not.
No, that's the thing though. Is I don't know if they'll keep Justin Fields around if they make all these transitions because usually that when they do all this, you get a new guy who wants their quarterback. Otherwise, you got to hitch your wagon on the Fields, and even if you believe in Fields, it shortens your window.
Well,
Sean thinks that Harbaugh's going to the Raiders.
Well, he has a lot of options. The Chargers will be open.
I think they keep Pierce, so just put
The
him
Bills,
at DC.
The Bills might be open.
Yeah,
right?
the Bills would be crazy, but the
Chargers.
Bills shouldn't be. The Bills, I just think that's an OC problem, which they did get a new OC, but the Bills, they dominate in all these offensive stats. They just get to the end of the red zone, and they have 0 run game, so it inevitably turns into a turnover. And B, that's basically it. They just don't have a run game, so they throw it and it's a turnover, or they don't get enough yards and they just don't get field goals. Period. But they're in the red zone way more, they're in the red zone on that higher efficiency, probably top 4, but they just can't ever finish anything.
Do you think that? I know. This is all
Stop
right.
starting sentences.
We're fine. You think that Ryan Poles would want somebody like Jim Harbaugh, who would want a lot of control over personnel? It would be kind of the downside to that, I believe, because Poles is in control. He's running the show and the operation, and I don't know if Harbaugh would want to come in and say, "Hey, we're going to do this." Run things his way.
I don't know. I think that actually would be a conflict because they're definitely, they got their style and they like their personnel. Part of the run game is they just also choose not to run it. They really choose not to develop that more. And I think we'll see it change. And I think that's why they got a new OC, but they just rely on their system, that pass game. That's all they do. One more from Troy and Lincoln here. I know we got to get to break. He said,
"You're the boss."
Break,
Whatever. All right.
He said, "Would Harbaugh coach a Buckeye QB?"
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And he would be coaching a Buckeye
Wide
receiver.
receiver.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Buckeye connection.
Absolutely. because Justin Fields, I don't think, lost to Jim Harbaugh.
Never did.
Never did. 2-0 against Jim Harbaugh. So, all right, well, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back to close up hour number 1 of the Sports Fanatics this Sunday on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
Let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down. Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action. Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend. Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, welcome back. Last segment here. We're actually going to talk a little health and wellness. Nicole's having problems with her headset.
I know. We need, like, instead of Spotify Wrapped, we need, like, a montage of people not being able to get their headsets on.
That'd be awesome.
You could probably get like over an hour of footage. I'm not even kidding.
I know.
It is the Rubik's Cube of the studio.
It was you last session, Jeff, and then I just wasn't ready. I was trying to look something up.
The key is for anyone who's ever going to be on the show is to take a deep breath and just stop. Just let it, just bend it to where it wants to. It'll bend the right way.
Yeah, it's a process.
It's like at a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. I get a little nervous because some people really start trying to get it to bend. They
Jeff
start
is the one you should be nervous about. Yes,
should be
100%.
that hard.
I've never broke one of these.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe. So if you're looking for something to do, January, our 10-week challenge is starting January 6th. Everybody's has their New Year's resolutions. I got to get out and do this. We're going to go to this gym, that gym. We're going to start eating better. We all have those. Like I said, we talked about at the beginning of the show, how many had New Year's resolutions in 2022 that they wanted to accomplish in 2023 and didn't make it.
Is anyone else like, I just don't hardly ever know what year it is by the time the end of the year is. Like half of my brain is already thinking 2024. So then my brain like scrambles when we're trying to think about what year it is. Is that just me? Maybe
Well, I mean,
it's like the month of December.
I label today's show
Yeah.
November 3rd,
Right.
2023. So I
It
have
is.
problems with that as well.
No, like I'm already trying to move ahead, which is like keeping me from remembering what
Yeah.
year it is right now. 2024.
2023 is the year currently.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the goals for 2024.
2024. Yeah. So our 10-week challenge is starting first weekend in January. So you got to get through Christmas, New Year's, and then the orientation is going to be January 6th. Day one of the winter challenge will be January 8th. It's always one of our biggest groups of the year. And that's now I'm not a big I at midnight on December 31st, your brain just doesn't magically transform.
Yeah.
People think, oh, new year, new me. I mean, yeah, you have a little bit of hope, but your brain doesn't just go into like, oh, it's 2024. Everything that I've done in my life is just magically going to change. So I would say if when you're
Some
thinking
people
about,
think that though, that's what keeps them
well,
in
they
the
do.
cycle.
Yeah, they do. When you're thinking about your New Year's resolutions, something we all think about. Instead of just thinking, actually write them down and have a plan. Just like we had our guest last week. You have to write down what, oh, yes, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, how are you going to do that? You just can't think about it and it happens magically. You have to have a plan of what you're going to do. How are you going to eat? Those types of things. So this is a good month to maybe not lose 20 pounds this month, but start developing habits that when January gets here, you're ready to go. I know one of the OG CJ who did our program, I believe, over the summer of 2023, he had signed up for the 4 a.m. class and he knew that was going to be early. So what did he do? He started getting up early, like before the challenge started. So that was a habit. So shout out to him if he's listening. That was a habit that he started before the 10-week challenge started. So his body was ready to get up. He knew how long it was going to take him to get to the gym. So I was going to say practice, but so he practiced getting up. His alarm was set. Good. OG CJ's listening.
Good.
Hopefully you're having a great recovery. I know you've had surgery recently on your back, I believe.
Yeah.
So yes, speedy recovery to you. Appreciate you listening. But so that was a habit that he started before the 10-week challenge started. He didn't just sign up for Farrell's and was like, he stayed up till 2 a.m. and then all of a sudden Monday gets here and he's like, oh, I got to get up at 3.
So many people do that, though. I guarantee it.
That's really a smart move. 'Cause that's the hardest part is getting out of bed.
Yeah.
At least it was for me. Once I'm out of bed, it's like, okay.
Creating
now
a new
we can
routine.
go.
Yeah.
Yes. So, like I said, some good advice for December is start creating good habits. Again, you don't have to go all in right now.
Yeah, that's what gets people probably the most is trying to do too much too soon.
Yes.
So break it up.
That's why when people start with us, we're not cramming everything down their throat. Like, oh, we expect you to be a certified nutritionist day one, right? Take some time, figure it out, because we want to set you up for success, especially in the nutrition part going forward. So whether you're doing Farrell's or whether you're not, the important thing is that you're learning what a carbohydrate is, a protein, a gram of fat, how to eat, what's good, what's not, because we all know calories in, calories out, but you can't just drink Pepsi. Oh, I had 2,000 calories today, exactly what they told me to eat.
Yeah, quality does matter for sure.
Yes, quality for sure. So again, if you have any questions for us or you have any wins for 2023 that have to do with fitness, health, wellness, we want to know, hear about it. 402-464-5685. We're going to take a break. What's our subject? We got a couple things we're going to talk about
we'll figure
coming
it
up.
out when we get there.
All right. So we're going to be right back here, top of the hour on the Fitness Fanatics.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
Don't miss the most innovative ag technology that exists today on display in Lincoln at the Nebraska Ag Expo, the second largest indoor ag show in the U.S., December 5th, 6th, and 7th. Check out all the latest technology in row crop and livestock production, robotics, and more at the expanded Innovation Hub. Mark your calendar. That's December 5th, 6th, and 7th. Register online at nebraskaagexpo.com to get your tickets in advance and save $5. See you in Lincoln. The Nebraska Ag Expo is sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous.
5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome into Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now here are your hosts, Jeff and Nicole Essig.
All right, welcome back in Fitness Fanatics, top of hour number 2. If you missed any part of the Sports Fanatics, hour number 1, you can check us out on the podcast page, ticketfm.com.
Soft sports.
It's pretty much 95% sports this first. I'll tell you what, talking sports, the hour goes by like in the snap of a fingers.
They all go by fast.
Just went by so fast. Like we just never ran out of anything to talk about.
I didn't even get into my Bulls yet.
And we had to just go
14.
break. We need to take breaks. I mean, we could have just went on and on and on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Real quick, you're not a Bulls fan, right?
No.
I'm a Houston Rockets fan.
Okay. Move on.
We are not. You are not going to do this. We have something to talk about.
All right, let's go. What are we going to talk about?
Down.
Put your foot down. Here we go.
So we've had 2 people message us separately about this article that came out about the decline in the PACER tests for LPS, right? So 1011, I believe, shared an article. I don't know if it's okay that we talk about that, but anyway.
Well, it's out there. It's public knowledge.
I know. So there was a 10% decline in youth fitness within the public schools. I don't know.
Just LPS?
LPS. Yeah, it was an LPS. The Community Endowment of Lincoln released new numbers to show a 10% decline in youth fitness within Lincoln Public Schools. And it's going off of the PACER test. So Jeff and I, back in our day, so Jeff, you said you never did the PACER test, but you did the shuttle run, right? Because I did the shuttle run. So do you remember the presidential fitness test?
Yes.
The shuttle run was, you had erasers.
Oh, yeah. We had the erasers. I think this could be a Bill's Thrill segment right here.
Right.
You had to go grab an eraser
that was on like the court.
Started in the
court.
middle.
Yeah.
And you went, grabbed the eraser.
Brought it back.
Then brought it to the other side and then went back to the finish. So I know everybody is just watching.
If you're in your 40s.
Yeah, it was time.
It was time. So it was more
similar.
like but the PACER test, I only know this because our kids have talked about it, but Harrison's done it. Jeff.
I've never done it.
Right. The PACER test is kind of like maybe we could, at Farrell's, we used to do a step test where it'd be like up, down, down, and it'd be 4 minutes, but we measured our heart rate. The PACER test doesn't do this. It's like a beep. There's a beep and you have to run right back and forth.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay,
Just break it down real quick. So characterize testing endurance, performance, fitness. The objective of the PACER is to run as long as possible while keeping a specified pace. Students run back and forth across a 20 meter, so it's down and back, 20-meter space at a pace that gets faster each minute.
So it's like beep, beep,
okay,
beep, 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 beep.
So I want to say it like
beep,
starts
beep.
30 some seconds.
Right.
I think when I did it was like 31 seconds was the first one. You got 20 meter space down and back. And then by the time you get back, you can sprint it and then you got more time to rest, or you can do what you're supposed to do, pace it. And then, yeah, exactly. It just gets faster and faster and faster.
Until you don't make that.
So
you pretty much,
right.
You'll get to
goal
the
is to
point
make a
where you
certain
get back
time.
and it goes beep and you turn around, you go and you get back and it gets faster. And then you
You're
get
done.
to your elite runners by the end there.
Okay. So I believe the article said.
I got it right
Okay.
here.
Okay.
So it said the study titled Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity in Lincoln, Nebraska shows children who passed the PACER test fell from 27% in the 2018-2019, which is pre-COVID, just to point that out, to 16.9%, which when you say 10% decline, that's like, that doesn't sound so bad. But when you 27% to 17% is pretty significant, I think.
If it was like 80,
short time
if it was like
window, too,
90% to 80%.
Right.
Like, wow, 80% of the kids still passed the PACER
Yeah.
test. Now
Yeah.
we're talking 16.9%. So kind of what we wanted to talk about today was we had one of a question
Because they're
from our
doing
member.
like, they're trying to setting up a task force to help to identify how they can help improve those numbers, because that's a very simple test of endurance and fitness that doesn't require strength necessarily, that I think is probably a good indicator of, kind of the future of that generation. But I think it is important to mention that COVID was in there. Like, that was a huge portion of time that kids in elementary school weren't getting physical fitness, which made
Right.
a lot of kids, that might be the only time that they have exercise is at school. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I think that's pretty interesting.
So the question, what Megan's question was
Oh,
kind of
I
tied
think-
into
oh,
this.
she just had a question about her daughter too, like
Well,
kids.
this all ties together.
Yeah. Just about how you can, motivate your kids, and then also just knowing how it's very hard to navigate with children, especially for me, like having a daughter, and you want to encourage your kids to be active and healthy without damaging kind of their psyche or making them think that they're not worthy of who they are as they are, and you're wanting them to improve. So
Right.
it's very tricky. It's very tricky. So I don't know if we have all the answers, but I know what I've done with Katie growing up. First of all, what you have to do if you're a parent to a child is you have to forget everything that you hear in your head that was placed in there by your parents, because our parents just had a terrible viewpoint of like self-image.
Well, we didn't grow up in physical fit households.
Neither
you
of
guys,
us
they
did.
are your guys' parents, my parents too, also had the worst food pyramid design. There's a lot
Yes.
of things flawed. So
There
even if
was.
they're trying to be an expert,
100%.
not a lot of great resources.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. But I think a lot of times your self-talk, you learn that from your parents. I've talked about this on the show. I know every single thing that my mother hated about her body growing up. I know what it was because I heard her complain about herself and the things that she didn't like about her body. And then that becomes your self-talk. So I think that's why it's important to kind of shut that down and try to, this is what helped me when Katie was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8, because they grew up at Farrell's. Our kids did. They grew up watching us exercise. But there was a point where I realized that I shouldn't say something to myself that I wouldn't say to Katie. Like I wouldn't criticize her. I shouldn't criticize myself in a way that if I wouldn't look at her and say that to her too. Like, oh, you're such a failure because you ate that donut today. I would never say that to Katie. Even now when she's 20, I would never say that to her. So I think that's part of it. Trying to minimize the damage that you can do to your kids, just with your own probably self-talk that can be damaging too. So kind of healing yourself through that. And then the one thing that our kids, they've grown up around fitness. So even though they're not necessarily always physically active, but they are. Like our daughter, she goes to Farrell's now, and she's been very consistent here in the last couple months about getting up and going to the workout. And she does that. It's normal to her because that's what we've done her whole life, pretty much. So I think that's part of it. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think just being an example.
Yeah.
Of if your kids see you taking care of yourself, then they're gonna see that, and maybe not necessarily do it right now, but you're kind of planting those seeds.
Megan commented in on Facebook.
Oh, she's listening live.
Yeah.
Huh?
About the pacer. Her daughter Kennedy said you can't see the clock either, so you don't know how much time. I think we should do this pacer test just to see.
Whoa, that's hard. We had the clock. Yeah, we had the clock when I did it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so you could tell if you need to really get going.
So you could be that person that sprint, or sprint, but you can't do that if you don't have a clock.
That'd be hard to pace if you don't have a clock. It's called the pacer. I feel like
the
they
beep
should
is
have
the pacer, right? Isn't that what the pacer is? The beep?
Yeah. That is. I wonder if that was just like the schools. I could have sworn we had a countdown because that'd be really hard to pace because you don't hear the beep until like the very end.
Right.
I'm just trying to imagine how hard that'd be to pace. I mean, if Kennedy can't see the clock and she's doing that, that's maybe that's why. Like you got everyone finishing like
that would be hard.
And you're running.
Is the Meadow Lane gym long enough where we could do the pacer test right in Farrell's?
It's about like we did it in the basketball court, and you need about like a basketball court length.
Oh,
a little longer.
We don't have that far.
The whole basketball court, down and back, or just down?
It's like 3/4 down, I want to say. How long is basketball? Let me look it up. It's 20 meters. You don't need a ton of space. I don't think you need the full length of the court.
Probably the mat space. Oh, the mat space at one of the gyms would be enough.
20. I have no recollection what 20 meters is when it comes to like how many feet.
Anyway,
I can tell you how many feet, how long the gym is in feet for the mat space, but
yeah.
As far as meters, I have no clue.
I feel like the pacer test is something that, it is pretty easy to probably get better at. I also would wonder how the physical fitness, the gym curriculum is set up. Is it set up to help them with their endurance? Is it something that they don't want to do that because they want to see what the raw data is? You know what I mean? So I don't know. What is you looked it up? Did you have the answer?
So it's about 3/4. So a high school basketball course, 25 meters long. So you're running. So you got cones at the beginning of the baseline, and you're going about 3/4 of the way down the court. You're hitting the cones and you're coming back.
We could probably do it at one of the gyms just out of curiosity. But maybe I wonder.
Maybe I'd fail that. I don't know. I'm going to see. That'd be interesting.
I know.
We should set it up because I would like to try it.
It's pretty fun. We did have Ohio Huskers saying my son does it and he loves it. It is kind of fun. Like
if
it's a fun way to test yourself.
It's fun. Yes, your son is probably really good at sports.
And some people like to do the rope climb in gym, right? Me, I can't even pull myself
Did you
up
have
a
to
half
rope
of a
climb,
foot.
Harrison? Did you ever have to?
We looked at
That's too much of a
climb.
liability. That probably went along the wayside after the 80s. Some kid fell probably.
We had to climb a rope, and I literally could not pull myself
Me
up
either.
1 inch.
Can you imagine? Like they had them up in the rafters, and they would just bring that rope down, and you're climbing the rope with like maybe a gymnastic mat at the bottom.
A little thin.
Yeah, I don't like my odds on that.
No.
I've never gloated about my upper body strength, so I don't think I'd like that one.
Some kid got hurt, and they were like, "We can't do this anymore."
Oh, that was just.
I had a friend that could do it. Jeanette, man, she could fly up that rope.
So I
was too scared.
When you get to the top,
touch it and then come back down.
Can you imagine?
I'm pretty sure it was a pass fail. Like you could either do it or you didn't. And there was always like 2 kids that could, and then no one else could.
All right, here's the time for these 2 kids to show off everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah,
to me, that's always what those tests were. Just the athletic kids showing off. I don't know how I ever did. I feel like I did get like a certificate one time, so I must have done fairly well. But I think it's different now than it was in the.
Do you think PE
80s.
needs to be more about exercise and less about what game are we playing that day?
In high school, I mean, I don't think our kids go to. Ben doesn't do PE.
Ben doesn't have to do PE because he's in marching band, so that counts as his credits towards PE.
Okay.
But,
probably like for elementary kids, they always got PE.
Yeah.
Like, do you think they should less games, more?
I don't know.
Not hitting weights. Obviously, they're too young.
Yeah, I don't know. Because we talked about this. Yeah. It's really hard to motivate kids to do something if they don't want to do it. So I think that's part of it. Like you got to kind of make it fun for them. Otherwise, they're just going to check out.
That's a good point.
We've had kids that have done ferals before, and you just never know. They're either going to love it and they're going to want to be there, or especially when the parents are joining them, they're going to love it and it's going to be a great experience, or the parent's going to be frustrated. The kid's going to be frustrated. They have to want to do it. So, gosh, that has to be hard to be a gym teacher and kind of balance that, especially when you have such a wide variety.
John's a gym teacher. Bubba.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but Bubba teaches, but he's high school.
Well, that's kind of this is what grades were these? The elementary kids?
Yeah, I'm assuming Pacers through middle school.
I imagine most high school kids don't have a PE class anymore.
Right, because
It's
Ben
either
doesn't.
swapped for like lifting class,
Yeah.
marching band, whatever. But there's no, unless you really want a PE class, I think there's probably no elective. But
Yeah,
for me,
yes.
it was never like.
I
you can
think Ben
pick it if
did
you
take
want.
like outdoor adventures one semester. I think that counted.
Yeah.
But
Well, if anybody on this task force is listening, we're a good resource if you need to talk to somebody about it. Like, I mean, I don't know if having like local gym owners or physical like personal trainers come in and talk to the kids.
Yeah.
Like that could be something too that would help, because most kids aren't listening to their parents anyway. But if somebody else comes in, you're like, oh wow, that would be, I mean, I would love to go in and talk to a group of kids about fitness and health, and because that's something you don't learn when you're younger in school.
The
you
best
take
way
it
to
for granted
do
too.
it, you have to get like organically, kind of how you see some kids start like running clubs, and
Yeah.
you'd have to like almost get like a club that they are willing to sign up for. Maybe you do just play games, like every so and so, but
I
for
think
an hour you're outside running around at least doing something.
As the non-competitive person in the room, I was never really in sports. Part of it was we talked about I was a low-income family and we lived out in the country. So I didn't have the opportunity to be in a lot of sports just because my parents were working multiple jobs and didn't really have time to pick me up or take me to games. And, we lived out in the country, so I couldn't just have someone take me. We didn't have a carpool opportunity or whatever. But I think what's important is I was still really active because I was an only child till I was like 12 and living out in the country. So I probably spent most of my time outside.
Well, and most kids were outside
Right.
when we were growing up.
Yes.
You just go out and come back at 6. Don't even know where you're at.
So I think it's important to find something that your kids like to do. Because like I just came up on my memories a couple weeks ago. Ben's one and only wrestling practice he went to when he was in like 2nd grade. We figured out real fast he did not like wrestling. And, if he'd gotten into it a little bit more and then wanted to quit, we probably would have made him keep going. Like we did that with Katie. She was in track and we made her keep going because we were like, well, you can't quit now. And then her friend dropped out, but we made her keep going. But
Ben wasn't really aggressive
No.
enough. As a 2nd grader.
No.
He just kind of stood there and was like, what's this person on my
And
leg?
remember, we lived in Iowa, and Southeast Polk is kind of a pipeline school for wrestling. And so
big wrestling school.
Yeah. So I felt like if we kept Ben in there, we were taking attention off of kids who really like had potential and wanted to be there. Ben did not. He did not understand it. So he had a very short wrestling career, but man, he looked so cute in his little outfit. He didn't ever have a singlet. He never even made that far, but he was wearing a little tank top and shorts and little wrestling shoes.
I'm sure he was happy he never got to the singlet point.
Yeah.
That's a big step for
I know.
wrestlers.
Yeah, he was just not into it. So we're like, that's fine. You don't have to. And then he got into children's theater. And I think that's part of it too. Physical activity doesn't have to be organized sports. He got into children's theater and did musicals. And man, that year that he was the King of Hearts, I mean, he was just a sweaty mess at the end of every single Alice in Wonderland show. They do dancing and stuff like that. So I think sometimes maybe you have to kind of meet your child where they are and find what they really enjoy doing, because if you can find that, then it's just going to make everything easier. You're going to have days where they don't want to do it, but that's important.
Taking your kids to the park.
Yeah.
Playing catch. That's why it's important for us as the adults to keep our good health. So we can go like my dad, he died 8 years ago. So obviously he's not going to hear me say this, but like he never took me to do anything. Like I never went and played catch.
No.
I never threw. I mean, we watched football. I mean, big time, but we never went out in the yard and threw the football around, or we never played basketball together. And the last time I played basketball with Ben, I hurt my ankle. So I just don't have a lot of lateral movement in my older age, but like
you do throw football with him every once in a while.
Yep. So like, that's why it's important for us as adults to maintain our health. And a lot of reasons why people will start ferals is because they want to have the energy,
be able to keep up with
to
their
do
kids.
stuff with their kids.
Yeah.
because you don't want 15 years goes by and we're like, well, I never did anything with my dad. We never played catch or went to a park that I remember.
Yeah.
At all. Like I just was never.
Well, your dad was in sales, so he was working a lot too. I think that's probably part of it, but it was just not a priority.
Yeah, I don't remember having any of those memories.
Yeah, my dad just not because he was like super out of shape or anything, but hey, he just had bad knees. So take care of yourself in multiple aspects. You guys talking about the health, but like if you need knee surgery, probably don't kick that one down the road because when your kid wants to poop, you ain't going out there with like bad knees trying to play basketball. So yeah, just stuff like that. Just keep taking care of your health because also just help. I grew up on the farm.
Yeah,
it's hard.
And you had brothers too.
Yeah, brothers. There's enough going on to where I had other outlets, but it's definitely one.
You were getting chased, so you had to keep run from your brothers.
Yeah, I got one beat down about a week. I'm sure.
See,
just getting pinned to the grass.
Your physical fitness was running for your life.
yeah. Maybe that's where it came
from. That is part of the dynamic, though, too. Like and that's the thing too. If you have multiple kids, like encourage them to, you don't always have to just be one-on-one with your kid.
Yeah.
You can encourage your kids to do stuff together too.
So maybe. Megan, she comes and works out every day. And I think she's in great shape and she's very healthy. And that's one of the best examples that you can set for your kids.
Yep. So, and they see you making time for it. That's the big thing, because at some point they're going to be adults too. And then they won't have that guilt where, because I know a lot of women, probably men too, but a lot of women have that guilt about taking time for themselves to work out. If they go and leave their house to exercise, there's other things that they could be doing instead. And so if you're doing that and you're showing that to your children, that'll just be normal to them. And they won't have to deal with that kind of guilt in their heads, because it'll be like, well, this is what my parents did. So it seems that's exactly how it is with Katie. She gets up and works out at 4 a.m. and she's 20, has a full-time job, and she prioritizes it. She goes to bed by 8:30. She sets her alarm. She gets up, and her coworkers are like, wow, that's crazy. And she was like, it's not to me though. My parents are up anyway. Like we probably wake her up just bouncing around the house.
That's
upstairs.
probably what it was. She's like, I'm tired of this. I'm just gonna get up with these guys. This
Might
is
as well
insane.
do it. She does do strength training from home. She'll do that virtually some days, so she can't quite string all the days. So some days she does hit snooze, but she will still try to get that virtual workout in. But for her, she was 3. She had just turned 3 when I started Farrell's, right?
Yep.
And Ben was 5 months old. So they have never seen us not exercise. And this was even before we were owners. I mean, they were a part of it.
And they've seen us go have our ups and downs.
Oh, yeah.
They've seen us struggle with food and struggle with pop and struggle with
injuries
and they've seen me gain weight, lose weight. So but that's stuff we talk about.
Because that's real life too.
Yeah. So it's not like I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, we're up against the break. Again, if you have any questions for us, want to hear some of your wins, we got about 30 minutes left here. You can text us 402-464-5685. Appreciate everybody listening this Sunday morning. We'll be right back on the Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Don't be surprised if your kids seem bored when they have some time off from school. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. While kids may not miss the confinement of the classroom, they may miss the routine of the school day. Help them add some structure to those free days by planning special projects. Rearrange a bedroom, plan a family meal, increase that batting average, and keep it fun.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Fitness Fanatics. We're so glad that you're joining us here this morning. So we're going to talk about, during the break, Harrison was asking us about our goals for 2023, and I said, I don't even remember what they were.
Yours was probably running, which you only did one of the two races that you said you were going to do, but I'm guessing that's what it was.
Yeah, it could have been.
My forever lifetime goal is to eat more fruits and vegetables, and I'm pretty much hit or miss about that. I'm on a pretty good one now. I just keep reminding myself that, like, that statistic, like 90% of U.S. Americans don't get enough fruits and vegetables. So I try to get in a couple servings a day. It's probably not enough. But
I need to make that my goal, but I feel like that's probably the hardest one for me, at least. Nutrition is hard to, because it's really easy to get into your grooves that are just cut in and then breaking out of those.
Well, and the thing is that it's great if you can eat fruits and vegetables, but what's even better is if you can eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. So that can be hard sometimes. It can be overwhelming sometimes. And then you kind of get frozen by just being overwhelmed. So that can be tough. But Harrison did have a goal to read more books. And you said you're pretty happy with where you were on that.
Did. I mean,
yeah.
Sad as it is, considering how many books I read beforehand, which is like maybe one, you
Right.
know, since college. That's probably about it. And then after college, I got the Witcher series all read. Started the Harry Potter. Didn't like that one much. Switched it up. Read a book about applying computer algorithms to life. That's been interesting. Just kind of weird, numerical rules you can use to kind of navigate things, like finding a parking spot. That's just changing it up, different. But yeah, it's good. Hopefully, I learned something. Hopefully, I sound more articulate to those speaking on the radio. That's kind of the goal there.
Reading books is a good one. I don't really have time to read books because I tend to hyperfixate on a book. The last book I read, Katie got me for Christmas last year. And when I read a book, I pretty much neglect everything else in my life until the book is read. Which can be
put it down.
Yeah, because I don't want to put it down because I want it, especially if it's good. So I actually did start listening to audiobooks this year, and I've listened to a ton of audiobooks, and I really do enjoy that a lot. I've listened to the Harry Potter series. I kind of go back and forth between fiction and nonfiction, which is kind of nice because you do get I love listening to biographies of Harrison and I were talking about off air, as long as the author is reading it. But it's just fun to hear people talk about their lives and stuff like that. I like listening to podcasts where there's this really good podcast called This Podcast Will Kill You. And it's these two scientists, and they talk about like diseases and stuff and the origins, like way far, long time ago origins, how like Lyme disease originated. They did a whole COVID series. A lot of it goes over my head, but it's so fun to listen to them talk about something they're so passionate about. That's really cool. So like they love talking about the science stuff. They get so excited when they find out the origins of stuff. So I'm like, that keeps me listening.
I need to add that one to the list. That
This
sounds really
podcast
interesting.
will kill you. It's very good. And they have so many. So I think they release one every week. I mean, they have seasons, but you should check that one out. It's fun. It's a fun one to listen to. And you're not going to know everything that they're talking about, but you don't need to because they're just really good about it. It's a very organized, well-organized podcast.
I just listened to Husker podcast.
I didn't have to second guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not true. You
what I do.
also listen to I Am All In podcast, the Scott Patterson Gilmore Girls rewatch podcast.
Oh yeah,
and you just recently got into the Survivor recap podcast.
Oh, big Survivor fans, big Survivor fans.
Yeah.
And yes, I started listening to the Survivor podcast,
which I feel like listening to podcasts and audiobooks is the same thing, as reading.
Yeah.
I think it is because I can do other things. Like I listen to podcasts when I'm running or reading Harry Potter or listening to Harry Potter. I listened to a lot of Harry Potter when I was running this summer, and that really does help, the time go by.
I did listen to one book.
What? Jordan's book?
No,
about
the
Hope is a Verb.
Yes.
That's a very good book. Yeah.
Which would be nice if we could get her on the show. If
I know. I need to reach out with her again.
Done,
I know. I will.
Would be nice.
Yes. So that would be a good book rec. Hope is a Verb.
Yes.
Is what it's called. But
David Goggins. Have you guys read those ones yet?
Yeah, I have.
Those are elite.
If you ask me reading, the answer is probably no.
No.
You would love David Goggins.
I know.
I think you would. That guy is just an animal.
He is.
He's everything. Like, I shouldn't say everything. He's
he's
over the top. He's insane. He's bones and his kneecaps are just rubbing up against each other, and he's just running thousands of miles still. And like, he goes to the doctors, and doctors are like, I don't even know how you're walking. And he continues to run these marathons. And he's just ultimate motivator.
Yeah,
like out of a guy that gives like zero excuse. He used to be kind of fat, like.
Why don't we get him on the show, Harrison? Let's
he's
go.
He's probably above our pay grade.
Oh man, yeah, he's elite of the elite.
Lincoln.
Yeah, yes.
He's above coming on this show.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe. I don't know. I guess I could reach out to him and see. You never know.
We have millions of listeners.
You never know. He's good. He's his.
He might even do it. He's that kind of guy. Like he doesn't really care about money. Just wants to motivate.
His books are good. They're very motivating. They're a little problematic for me because they're just a little misogynistic, which is fine. I understand. He's a military guy and. Whatever. It's fine.
That's fair.
Yeah. But
we went to get our Christmas tree. We got it at Lowe's.
That's just always where we get it. We get a real tree every year.
And so we went in, and person working was like, this is going back to misogynistic. Guy was like, this is the heaviest tree here. And we're like, oh, let's get it.
You could tell too. It's a beefy tree. It's
tree.
amazing.
And
it's not even really that tall, but it's just real big.
So he said,
Hulk.
He said, oh, this is heavy. Probably take 2 men to lift this.
Mm.
That did not go over well.
I own a gym.
I was fine. I didn't say anything.
Well, no, he didn't say anything, but I could tell. And I was like, oh,
he's like,
men.
let me go get the cart. It's probably gonna take 2 men. And I'm like, okay, first of all,
2 men.
You could have done it yourself. I could have done it myself.
I
it would have
it
looked
into the
weird.
house by myself.
Yeah.
Like,
he was an older gentleman. So maybe, 2 of you, 1 of us.
2 men.
So that's kind of annoying. I roll my eyes a little bit, but I finished one of the books of his. So they're good. But that's the thing. When you are navigating the health and wellness space and listening to books or podcasts or following influencers, it is very important to kind of have that discernment where you don't have to blindly follow people just because they have a lot of followers or people really like them. If what they're saying doesn't resonate with you, that's okay to not like them. I'm not saying I don't like him. I do. He's very motivational. There's just sometimes in the book I'm like, that was probably inappropriate.
I can probably quote exactly you.
Right. Yeah. So whatever. That's your vernacular and that's how, but let's grow a little bit. But that is so hard in the health and fitness world because there are just so many people out there saying dumb stuff, just stupid things. And people will fall for it every time. And sometimes you just have to take a step back. So this is kind of evolving to something else. But
that's okay.
The thing that I like to use to put it into perspective of if a fad is something that is worth pursuing or researching, that's the other thing. Do a little bit of research. Don't just go off of what they're saying. I think the biggest thing is if you see an influencer talking about something, the biggest thing that you can do is take whatever that topic is and then Google it with the word scam after it. And you'll find out really fast, what the actual science base of something. Carnivore diet is a great example. Very popular. The carnivore diet where you just eat meat. That's it. No vegetables or
probably
fruits.
Something I could get on board with.
Definitely would thrive mentally on the carnivore diet. But it's a problematic diet, I feel like, for people who maybe have predispositions to high cholesterol or, it's not a one size fits all. Maybe you want to try it and see, but
that's okay. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the carnivore, I'm never going to try it. That's not for me.
I would not recommend people trying it.
Because with the people always worry about the high cholesterol. Is that all just linked to beef or where is that? Because that's the counter argument is everyone's well, no, everyone just accuses red meat for high cholesterol when in reality there's other fat. That's why you have.
There is. Cholesterol is important. That's the problem in the health and wellness world is whenever. So we're still battling cholesterol being bad from the 80s, the low fat fads of the 80s, because we're we better stop eating eggs because we have high cholesterol. Well, if you have high cholesterol, it's probably not the eggs that you're eating that's raising your cholesterol. It's probably your inactive life or processed fast food that you're eating. So then in the 80s, we stopped eating fat and we started eating low fat without understanding that low fat just means high sugar. That's what they did. They just took out the fat, but they had to add something in there to make it taste good. So they added sugar. So we're eating high carbs without even realizing it. So now that's still out there that cholesterol is bad for you. And then someone's like, well, if a little bit of cholesterol is okay for us, then maybe a lot is fine too. We don't know. And so then the carnivore diet takes off. But common sense is we are not carnivores. Humans are not carnivores. Our mouth is not structured to just eat meat.
Yeah, I've never understood that one fully.
We
That's
would
why
not
I was
have
asking you.
molars to chew up nuts and seeds and vegetables and fruits if we were meant to be carnivores. So that's kind of the common sense about it. But I think as far as cholesterol goes, there's a lot of parts of our body that use cholesterol, and it's going to come back to quality and the just moderation. So I do think, yes, red meat does typically have higher saturated fats, and that can be problematic depending on where you are. But I think more importantly, it's just having it be part of an overall healthy diet and active lifestyle. Jeff, you know this. We see this all the time where our members will talk about how, well, Pete was a great example, how just adding exercise has improved their blood markers, blood sugar, cholesterol, all of that. Once you do what your body's designed to do, it knows how to regulate itself. And we're not designed to be sitting all day long. We're designed to be moving, our hearts to be pumping, and our, respiratory system to be taxed for that time that we're exercising. So if we do what our bodies want us to do, it knows what to do with what we give it. But then we see this stuff. And I don't like to dog on other diets because whatever, it all is what it is. But the carnivore diet is just a good example. So if you see someone talk about and they're ripped and they're doing the carnivore diet, first of all, probably genetically they would be ripped. They could probably be eating 250 grams of carbs and still have the same body composition because that's their genetics. So you got to take that into consideration. You got to take into consideration that they are making money off of your views, and they're making just as much money off of people commenting negatively on their content. So if you can be super controversial, you're going to make just as much money about the people complaining about you than the cheerleaders. So I think that's important to discern that information. Don't just follow something because it worked for someone else. What you need to do is find something that works for you in your life, in your, a lot of the thing that really irritates me now as a woman in my 40s.
Right, we're going on a tangent.
I know.
I love it.
It's my turn to go over on break. No, I'm just kidding. But the thing that irritates me as a woman in my 40s is men and...
Oh, man, here we go, Harrison.
Men particularly, but also younger women that are trying to create content for women in menopause. Men especially. Okay, I do not need to see content from a man telling me to stop doing this and do this instead because of my hormones. You have a whole target market. Maybe you should be showing men what to do to help increase their testosterone or whatever. What are you doing that's lowering your testosterone? Stop trying to come after us when you are never going to have to deal with this issue. So that's another thing to use discernment on.
What? No, that's funny. That is just to think about my guys doing that.
Oh, it happens all the time. I will, and I'm part of the problem because sometimes on those I will get on a tangent and I will comment on TikToks and Instagram posts, and I'll just be like, "How about we stop taking female hormonal advice from men?" There are tons of great women in their late 30s, 40s, 50s that have gone through it, that are doctors, that have the actual real life and the research that we can be taking that information from. So that's really what you need to do. If there's something that is important to you, you need to find someone that's like you, that has done what you want to do instead of the other way around. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Well said.
Okay.
I'm not going to give advice to girls going through.
Don't you dare.
Yeah. I would kind of say with the fad diets and the thing that matters the most, and even people going through our program, is if you're not changing mentally, you're just going to go back to your old
you're just going to bounce back and forth.
So if you're like, oh, I'm going to do this 6-week carnivore diet or whatever, and I've done Whole30 several times, which when I'm doing Whole30, it's just I feel good, but sometimes I don't change mentally, so then when it's over, I'm just busting out the Cocoa Krispies.
You didn't learn anything from it.
Didn't learn anything from it. Yeah. So, and two, when you're if you're going to start popping pills or trying to do something that's going to alter how your body works, which are what pills do.
You're not fooling your body.
Ask yourself, is this something I want to do for the rest of my life? Because once you stop doing those things, it's going to go, if you're not changing right here. That's why we've seen people, we've had members that have had weight loss surgery that have gained all their weight back. Why is that? Because they didn't change the problem.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with weight loss surgery, to be clear.
No, we're just talking about.
I'm not saying you were saying that, but I'm just being clear. That is perfectly fine option for people, as long as, like you said, you're doing all of the work that's required.
You're doing the right things, and if you're changing your mentality on and getting a better relationship with food. Yes, because we know people that have got it, that have kept all their weight off and are in great shape.
Yeah. You would 100% be a person that would fail on weight loss surgery.
I just
You'd be
it all
super
back.
motivated in that time where you're just dropping weight. But then when the actual work had to start, you would probably fall back to your habits.
Because
that's just your personality.
Yes, there comes a time when it stops.
Right. Yes.
And then it's like, okay, now what do we need to do?
Yeah, that's just your personality.
So,
right.
All right. Well, we're going to throw it to break. We'll be right back to wrap up this episode of Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
If you want all the latest technologies from those big banks, but you also want that hometown feel when you walk in the front doors, choose Midwest Bank. They have top-notch technology. They make banking so easy, and they also have the friendliest staff who will take their time to get to know you and treat you like family. You get the best of both worlds when you choose Midwest Bank. I live on the go, and now I can bank on the go. With Midwest Bank, I have everything I need at my fingertips. I'm volleyball player Allie Batenhorst, and at Midwest Bank, you'll love banking here.
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you wanna come and text us,
if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
this is Mommy's jam.
then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I'm Christy. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had smoker's cough and severe shortness of breath, and I knew I had to quit. Then I tried e-cigarettes, but I just ended up using both. I really didn't start to get better until I quit smoking completely. My tip to you is just cutting down on the number of cigarettes you smoke isn't enough.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you want to come and text us,
If you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
This is Mommy's jam.
then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment here. We do have a text. Not sure how to pronounce this name. Deneco says Deneco here. Oh, and my screen just shut down. Here we'll have a great offseason, and next year is the rebirth of Nebraska football. This person must be just joining us on YouTube with our first segment. And I was saying this is when we can be hopeful and excited, is between now and kickoff for 2024.
Yeah, but except for you, you'll be like, there'll be a point where you're just depressed every single weekend because you're so bored. And then football starts again and you're depressed because football is on. Make up your mind.
Once football's over, the weekends are just brutal.
Yeah, you really need to.
They are.
Well, no, hey, Houston Rockets, you'll be fine.
They've lost like
Harrison is gonna make an NBA fan out of you yet.
I'm pretty knowledgeable with NBA.
Not current though, right?
Not current, but I mean, in the 90s, I was like, that was epic before you were alive, obviously. that was the greatest time in NBA. Like, all the teams were good. It was just, who
was the guy on the Rockets for you at that time?
Keem Olajuwon.
Oh, yeah.
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 Keem Olajuwon, on their title team, I know all these players. Robert Ory, Vernon Maxwell, Kenny Smith, Otis Thorpe. And one of the worst trades that they did, Houston, they won back-to-back titles. Then they made a trade. They traded Sam Cassell and Robert Ory for Charles Barkley. And that just wasn't smart.
There was a year there where there was a bunch of weird trades going on where it just felt like all these teams were unknowingly trading away their futures.
Yeah.
Like you saw that with the Trailblazers too. You saw a bunch of like really good players on the Trailblazers at one point. I think Scottie Pippen was there at one point in time towards the end.
Yeah, and Scottie Pippen was also on the Rockets at one point.
And was that from the Rockets to the Trailblazers?
He went to the Trailblazers after Houston, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That was a weird era where you had a bunch of these really great, Hall of Fame down the road players. They ended up on the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, getting traded at the end.
For an ugly year.
Back in the 90s when you had like the Knicks with Patrick Ewing, the Suns with Charles Barkley, Seattle with Sean Kemp, Gary Payton. Like I could sit down and watch an entire NBA playoff game from start to finish. I can't do that now. Like I'm just not into it all that much. Maybe it's because my team has just been bad for the last few years. But Houston did have a meaning. They have this in-season tournament, which my brother's a huge Lakers fan. He was getting me all wrapped up in this. And Houston had, if they would have beat Dallas, they would have won their pool and made the in-season tournament. Well, they lost. So it was like their first meaningful game in 4 years, and they lost.
Yeah.
So now they're not in the in-season tournament.
I think you need to like abandon all fanhood.
You know what it is? Honestly, after the Houston won the 95 championship, they changed their jerseys. They haven't
so it's
won
not
since.
My fault.
No.
They definitely had cooler jerseys.
They had the little red, white.
They downgraded,
yellow.
in my opinion. Their jerseys today are so boring.
And it said Rockets across the front.
It's like retro, but
it was just great.
It would be retro if they were back.
It was great.
So that was just a good era of jerseys, period.
Yeah, they changed their logo and they haven't won since.
Yeah, I talked about it this morning. I hate the Nike jerseys in the NBA. They suck.
Yeah,
like you got a different colorway. My biggest beef, I say it a lot, but it's just so true. It's like when you got Lakers Celtics and Lakers blue, Celtics black.
Yeah,
it's like, what are you doing?
I hate that.
You got the weird courts going on every night. It's just
the weird courts.
It's for the midseason tournament.
Yes. That's how I knew. My
Mm-hmm.
brother's like, no, the courts are different.
And even the mid-season tournament's awkward because if you want, say, it's you guys are tied, it's the point differential. So you're trying to you're winning by 20 and you're going to try to put on 20 more points. You're just running up the score at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of an ugly product. It's awkward for the players, awkward for the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if they tweak it out. It's definitely kind of unpolished right now, but it looks like some of the games have been more competitive with the mid-season tournament on the line. So
yeah, I mean,
it's interesting.
They're trying to win $1 million. I mean, $1 million to LeBron is that's
Yeah.
I mean, it's big time.
That's life-changing
Think about
money.
teams like the Pacers, though, and you got Tyrese Halliburton. They're the kings of last season. They got the number one offense, and what Tyrese Halliburton's able to do is it's a fun team to watch. I'll leave on that because I switched it to NBA basketball.
Thanks for taking over.
Now,
but League Pass team, go watch the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton, crazy fun to watch.
I have zero clue who Tyrese Halliburton is, where he played. I don't know anything about this person.
Well, you might have to get into it now.
So
he was supposed to be the replacement for De'Aaron Fox on the Kings. And then they doubled down on Fox. Tyrese Halliburton got sent to the Pacers. He was very upset about it. Now he's killing it over in Indiana.
Yeah, maybe because the season's is too long. It's like get to the good stuff.
Yeah, that is part of it. They're still trying. That's what this mid-season tournament's all about. Is trying to get people like you to be like, this
Get
is
in on the
entertaining.
ground level.
I was interested, but I still haven't watched 1 second of an NBA game, and I probably won't.
Yeah, but you don't have to as much anymore because there's so much. You can just get the information without actually
you just
watching
look it up
the
on
game.
my phone. I mean, that's and
that's how I like to watch the Packers.
So you're not staying up tonight, Packers Chiefs?
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah, I probably won't either. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the Fitness Fanatics. We appreciate everybody joining us, all the texters, listeners. We will be back here next Sunday on December 10th. Go Huskers today. Big game against Creighton. We'll be back next week.